A brand new 7-day login champion, an interesting fusion, the reopening of the event dungeon, as well as much more. Hey guys, SMZ here, and we are here with the first edition of What Happened in Raid over the past month. This is a series in which we are going to look at everything that's happened in Raid Shadow Legends over the past month and its surrounding community. We also will have some clips at the end which are going to be about crazy shard pulls or soulstone pulls. And if you want to be featured on the edition for February 2025, please go ahead. So with that said, let's dive into it. The first most important thing that happened in 2025, kicking off the new year, was the introduction of a brand new event, Alice's Adventure. Very much like the previous event, which was the Asgard event, I believe. This event launched on the January 8th with a brand new patch, and it brought along so many things into the game. It brought along 5 champions, which all 5, or rather 4 of them have been pretty good additions to the game, and with one of them being a bit underwhelming. So what did we have exactly? So we had Queen of Hearts, who is an amazing champion, and we had her as part of a new event dungeon. And that event dungeon allows us now to farm the pinpoint gear set, which is an amazing 9 set gear piece. And personally, I feel like they've upped the rates when it comes to getting higher tier accessories and artifacts from this time in the dungeon compared to the last rotation. And this dungeon, although it's a very difficult challenge to beat, there have been plenty of videos out there to help you beat this dungeon. Shamael, for example, has risen in popularity, and of course the crazy enemy max HP champions, they are dominating. I personally have put out this team which farms this dungeon in very quick time, between 8 and 12 seconds. But this event dungeon has been a pretty cool addition to the game. So we have the boss itself, who has an absolutely bonkers kit, to be honest. And then she also pairs herself with 2 very dangerous combos in the game, one being Cupidus and Venus, as well as Kaja and Timid. I say that while my team knocks it off in 13 seconds. This time I think the Slayer didn't proc or something, otherwise it reduces it down to 8 seconds. Pretty cool dungeon. As you can see in my test run as well, I have just collected 2 6-star pieces for pinpoint gear. So as I said about the drop rates, it's been pretty good. So this was the new event dungeon. It still runs at the time of recording, which is early February. It still runs for at least another 3 weeks into March, I believe. Yeah, March 26th. So that's the Queen of Hearts dungeon. Next up, we have the Alice Chase event. So Alice, who is a 7-day free login champion in the game, and she's a pretty cool champion. A lot of people who starting out are even thinking about maxing her up instead of the usual starter champions like Kayle, Elhain, Gaelic, and Ethel. So Alice, what's cool about Alice is that she has a very cool ability in her kit, which very few champions have, which is increasing the cooldown of enemy champions. It's a wonderful design as well. Of course, it's taken from the Alice in Wonderland. And yeah, I was talking about this ability, Clockwork Cyclone. It's pretty cool. It does not increase the cooldown to the max like champions like Warlord or Yumiko, but of course those are void legendaries. But it's an interesting champion to have for free in the hands of pretty much everyone. Pretty cool champion. Community response to this has also been pretty nice. Coupled with the fact that they don't only offer us the champion, but they now offer us also the 5-star soul if you play the game around for a longer amount of time. So you collect the 2-star soul, I think, in the first couple of weeks, and then you grind towards the game. Then slowly you collect up to 5 stars. Then we had the Cheshire Cat, who is such a crazy looking champion. Look at this design. This is absolutely insane. If nothing else, this kit is insane, but even if it wasn't, I would just want to collect him for this amazingly cool design. Unfortunately, I personally haven't been able to, but yeah, very cool champion added to the game. A lot of people have been wishing to get this champion on the roster as well. There was a tournament in which you could win this, but of course those tournaments are difficult to get. So that's Cheshire Cat. And then, of course, we had a couple more changes when it comes to the 10.10 update. I'll jump into the Mad Hater Fusion in a bit, but let's look at the update highlights next. So I just talked about the raid event and the event dungeon. Another very interesting thing was this market rework. So previously, the community had complained a lot that this market was absolutely terrible, and they finally reworked it. And now you can actually see gear which you might think about using. 5-star or 6-star gear. You come across legendary gear here as well, which sometimes can be useful. I've seen some of my clanmates, for example, pick up nice speed pieces, 6-star speed boots, for example. Much better than what it was previously in one place. What they've also done is all of the other shops or markets or bazaars in the game, they've just all collected all of them in one place, which is a nice change to have. It doesn't change around that much, but again, good to have. Another thing that the community is complaining about now, I think this is a bit stingy from Plarium, is this refresh now button, which consumes 5 gems. It's located right next to this closing the menu button. Especially on mobile, this is a problem. So just a small shout out. We're happy with the change, but please move this button a bit to the left so you don't accidentally refresh the market when we don't want to. Let me just collect this mystery shard and let's move on. So, other than the market, we also had the champions rating reset. So what Plarium said was that these champion ratings, they have been legacy. Some of them have become redundant. Some of them have become inaccurate. So let's just reset all of them. And what I mean by that is either you go into your champion collection, for example, Mikage, and here are the reviews. So this is what I'm talking about. You can rate every champion based on different areas of the game. And this has been completely reset. And a lot of people have been rating it. Of course, the number of ratings you will see is now far lower than what it used to be because of that reset. A good change, nothing crazy or game changing. Let's continue. So there have been some balance updates. 2 key blessings, lethal dose and incinerate. These are the poison, more damage from poison and more damage from HP burns, which was previously only in the arena. Now work in siege battles as well. This is a great change. We've been asking for this for quite a while, because with siege, the problem is with one thing is with auras, which also they've talked about changing, and also some of these blessings which were only relevant there. Siege is similar to arena in a way. So when you're thinking about having strategic teams which do damage based on a poison setup or an HP burn setup, it's nice to have these blessings available, and that's what's happening as part of this change. There were also a couple of balance changes to 2 key champions. Skull Lord Vargal, who is one of the legacy champions, he has had a change in his kit. I won't go over the changes in detail, but overall, even despite the changes, I haven't seen him pop up in usage too much. So maybe he needs a bit more of a push. But good to see that they are still doing these balance changes, even if it's 2 per month. Second change was made to a Void Legendary, Tramaria. Her kit was changed quite significantly, I would say. But then again, it's a Void Lego, not a lot of people have it. This champion becomes a bit more usable now, as she was previously not seen in pretty much any area of the game. So kudos again to Plarium for making this happen. Of course, there were a couple of other champions. Dawncaller Sabitha, a newly introduced Void Epic, was also part of the Epic collection for the Fusion event. So what that means is people who were not able to complete the Fusion, they were able to collect this champion. And she is a pretty darn good Void Epic. Some people have been comparing her to Godseeker Raniri. Some people have been calling her one of the best Epic Voids in the game. So look into her if you've been able to collect her or if you're looking to elect her. Then we had the Knights Revenant Faction Unity Champion, and he is just a crazy champion as well, who was added to the game. I've ran against a couple of them in live arena, and I was blown away. So those were the changes brought together by the patch 10.10. Let's dive into the Fusion of the month. For Fusion of the month, we just zoom in. So this was the Fusion event. It's kind of tearing up a little bit, but I hope it's fine. So we had this time round a hybrid fusion. What that means is we had to collect the fragments of the epics. So 4 times of this epic that I just talked about as well. And then you were able to combine all of these fragments, summon these fragment champions, the epics, rank them up to 50, ascend them to 5 stars as well, and then feed them into getting Mad Hatter. Now, Mad Hatter as a fusion champion. Personally, when it came out, I was not very impressed by Mad Hatter on paper, and he wasn't received as well by the community either. If you look at this small poll that was done, where's this? Yeah, this one, where this poll was done by Plarium on X, that which of the champions are most wanted and interesting overall. He was third on the list. Knave of Hearts is the fourth champion who's definitely very low on that list for most people. But Mad Hatter was also pretty low compared to Cheshire Cat or Queen of Hearts, who are just crazy champions. However, with that said, Mad Hatter has really impressed me since I've pulled him. So he is a very nice fusion champion, very good speed, very good base stats. He's a support champion. What's cool about him is that he places Hex and Weaken on the same skill. Not many champions, or maybe not any champions, who can do that. And why this is crazy is, for example, if you're taking him to the Hydra, you can place Hex without needing the curse set, and you place Weaken, which increases the damage. And he allows the ally with the highest crit damage to team up and join the attack, kind of like how Mikage does it with a what's the name, usually with Ninja, but the faction of Shadowkin. So he allows that with any champion who has the highest crit damage, which is a pretty cool ability if you ask me. His A1 spreads debuffs, which is crazy. This is very useful in the Hydra, for example, when you have Poison Cloud on and your block buffs did not spread for whatever reason. You can put HP burn on one of the decapitated heads or one of the heads who doesn't have HP burn on, and then if the others had Hex, you can debuff spread the HP burn onto them, and then you can start dealing damage. So which is crazy good. He also increases the duration of all buffs by a turn and decreases the duration of all debuffs, similar to Mikage's A2. Plus, he also fills the turn meter. So he's just a crazy champion. And he does place this True Fear every 10 turns by allies. True Fear obviously is not that relevant in PvE, but the heal definitely is. So I've been positively surprised. I've been using him a lot in my Hydra team, and he has allowed me to do very good levels of damage. I've been using him in Brutal. This time I ran this instant battle thing. Again, we're going to talk about this in February's update. But yeah, he's really punched up my team significantly, and he didn't have a blessing yet, which is, I think, a good transition into the Mad Hatter Titan event, which is closing out pretty soon, the Tea Party Titan event. It had two important key elements to collect. One was this Cat's Case relic, which we are going to talk about in a second, and one was the 5-star soul for Mad Hatter. Plarium has started doing these 5-star Titan, these Titan events for the 5-star soul for quite some time now, and I personally am a fan of them because this allows you to collect a 5-star soul for the latest fusion, which is very, very nice, especially for damage dealers. What I have against it slightly is that it feels like a fusion in between fusions. A fusion event is already quite demanding, and then if you have this kind of event in between two fusions, it's a constant drain on your resources. But nevertheless, this Titan event was pretty good awards in the end. If you were not that interested in Mad Hatter, which a certain portion of the community was, you could just stop here with the Cat's Case relic and you would be good with it. So let's talk about the two newly introduced relics as part of this event as well. So one relic has been this Hatter's Reserve. As you can see, I've collected 3 of them, and personally I'm not a huge fan, because both effects of this relic together, it's very difficult to think of a champion who can utilize both of these effects. So receiving less damage from enemies whose attack is lower than the wearer, and then inflicting more damage whose HP is lower than the wearer. Very few champions for which this is going to be the case. Rotos might be one of them, because Rotos usually does damage based on both HP and attack, and people build him with both of those stats high. Not a lot of other champions that I've seen who would really utilize this relic well. You could use this relic to take advantage of either the first part of the effect or the second part of the effect, but both of them together, haven't seen much. Secondly is this Cat's Case relic, which is a crazy good relic. It's essentially a, the blessing, the Crushing Rend blessing. It's kind of like a mobile Crushing Rend. You can move this around. If you've not maxed the relic out to 5 or 6 stars, the moving cost is not that high, to be honest, especially if you're doing a Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare Chimera every single week. But what this relic does is it lets you ignore 10% of the target's defense when attacking enemies with higher max HP. And for most of your damage dealers, especially attack damage dealers, they are going to be having lower max HP than anybody they are hitting. And then this increases, of course, based on the level of the relic up until 10%. Interestingly, what this allows is also to give you 26% crit damage, which is a high number. At 12, it'll go up even more, and some attack. So very, very good relic. Some people have been lucky enough to pull more than one of this, and I can't help but feel a little bit jealous of those people. But yeah, this has been a crazy good relic that's been introduced into the game. So the Hell Hades free-to-play challenge. This is a community-based challenge that's led by the HH Gaming team every single year for the last 2 or 3 years. It's a very cool challenge that starts off in January, goes up until I believe April or May, and basically you are starting out a new account, which is going to be a free-to-play account, and you are not allowed to spend any money. They have done a very good job with listing out all of the rules and all of the points selection or points gaining methods all on their website. And then they also have the leaderboards. So I'm personally not taking part in this challenge just because of lack of time commitment, but a lot of people are. There's leaderboards, there's interaction, there's a huge community thing going on. So big kudos to the HH Gaming team for again making this happen. And this time round, there's also, as I was mentioning, the point system, which is slightly different from the past years. Again, very cool thing for the community, and it leads to a lot of interaction, a lot of cool content, and a lot of cool challenges, especially for some people who've been playing the game for a long time and their own personal account seems to stale out a bit. It's a great challenge with limited resources of a free-to-play account. It's a wonderful challenge for anybody doing this. All right, so with that said, I would jump into the next, which is the Raid Digest Roundup. So Raid Digest is something that Raid publishes every 2 weeks. So naturally, there have been 2 this month. The first one came out on 10th of January. They talked a little bit about the availability of special champions and relics when it comes to the Alice's Adventure event, where they were just teasing that some of the relics will be available, as we've already talked about. There was this one element which led to a lot of community uproar and disappointment, which was after this update, the controversial Hydra, who's gone through so many changes, so many tweaks, is once again in the spotlight, and not for a great reason. Because after this update, a lot of champions have been pretty wonky with their AI when it comes to auto on Hydra, where they're not targeting the exposed necks, they're not freeing the digested champions on their team. So they said that they would fix this, and they, as I'm recording as of February, it's a small spoiler, but I think from the latest update, they have added a lot of these fixes already, which is pretty cool to see. So another thing they clarified was that the mythical and legendary artifacts are also available. As I already mentioned with the event dungeon, I am seeing a lot more of the legendary and sometimes even mythical artifacts coming out, which is pretty nice. There have been some clarifications regarding the Chimera, which came out late last year, and personally I think it's one of the coolest additions to the game in a while. So that was the first Raid Digest. Let's look into the second one. So again, as I said, Chimera is pretty new, relics are pretty new. So they have been talking about the relic materials, how to craft relics, and then a lot of the events when it comes to Alice's Adventure, the Tea Party Titan event. They have been giving out these materials for the event related relics, which are the 2 relics, which are the Hatter's Reserve and the Cat's Case relic, of course. There have been some issues with dual dual debuff when it comes to the Chimera's RAM form, the controversial and hated RAM form. I personally am not a fan of it. And there have been quite a few issues with this form, not just this one. So I hope that they are looking into that and they can fix that. This is something that they have looked into, and hopefully that this has been fixed. There's been a couple of other changes when it comes to certain champions with certain bosses. For example, the newly introduced Losan Kleth, which is the what is he? Knights Revenant faction unity champion that we talked about at the start, right? And then obviously the change in the market that we already talked about, that now these sets, Savage, Stun, and Fury, are not available. They should be available. They've been working on this, which is again very good to see. Previously the market was just useless with the common and uncommon pieces most of the time, 3-star, 4-star. After like 10 days into the game, though, there you don't really want those pieces. So pretty good. So that's the Raid Digest roundup as well. With that said, I think let's go into the last part of the update, which is the Shard and Souls pull of the month. Quickly before we go there, just wanted to say out loud that this is also been my first month starting out and making content on Raid, and I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who's been supportive. It's been much better than I anticipated. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and I'm glad that I did so. And thank you very much for all the support. I want to continue this series every single month, and for that your suggestions would be very helpful. I'll link down my Discord down below as well. Please join that, and it'll be very helpful to submit clips, to submit news, any community feedbacks that I have missed in this video. Also, please note them down. With that said, let's jump into clips and shard polls of the month. So just a disclaimer, a lot of content creators went on a dry January kind of, in which they said that they would not be spending any money and pulling any shards this month. What that meant was that there was a lot fewer shard pulls when it came to this year, but I have still collected 5 clips, so let's jump into it. First clip is by Game Leap Cobb, and let's see what he pulls. I think he's waiting to pull one of the last epics for the Mikage fusion. With that said, let's go.
Mikage fusion. Oh, and there she is. Okay, we did it, man. Hey, 40 shard pulls and only a couple of epics. One of them is a guaranteed. Pretty garbage, dude.
Very nice. A lot of people know this feeling when it comes to the Mikage fusion. Some key champions just keep missing, and you have just bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. So they introduced this guaranteed, which was pretty nice. Let's go on to the next one.
So we're gonna keep pulling. We're gonna hear his double another ingot. Oh, car. I don't know if he's any good, but we get a Lego. We get a whoa. What is this? Oh my god, you guys. We get a
What is this indeed? This is a weird looking champion, isn't it? This weird lizard. It's supposed to be lizard men. Where's the man part of this lizard? I don't understand either. Alright, let's continue. This is Nub Braids with his shard pulls. Only takes 1 shard is what he says in the title.
Or to say, let's go. Will we get it on the first shard? Oh my god, we got on the first shard. Oh my god, we got it on the first shard.
I'm not jealous at all.
What?
Pina.
We got it on the first shard, boys. Who else we gonna get? Oh, Groha, he's new. He's new.
So this is the faction unity champion for the High Elves. She's pretty bonkers. I personally love Supreme Elhain. I have her at 6-star. I would love to get this champion. Haven't been that lucky, unfortunately. But good on Up that he pulled this champion from his first shard, along with a 1+1 champion on this event. Not jealous at all. Moving on.
I think I've lost faith now, the guys.
He's lost faith. Haha. The Cheshire Cat.
Okay, there it is. Yes! It was worth it, baby! We got the cat! Boom! Oh, it was worth it, guys.
I would react the exact same. Cheshire Cat is just the coolest looking champion that they've introduced in a while. So, congrats to you. And then I wanted to plug in one of mine as well, because this is one of the luckiest pulls I've ever had. Started out this channel, and one of the first days I was pulling some soul stones for this event because I saw Marius in there. Marius is one of my favorite champions. I really wanted to get a 6-star relic for a 6-star blessing for him. I had him at 1 star. So I have been pulling a couple of soul stones, and please continue loading.
Come home,
Thank you very much.
Marius, come home. Nope. I think we're not gonna be lucky today. Gold, Marius, come on, come on. Yes! Yes! Woo!
So amazing.
Not just Marius, but 6-star Marius.
This was crazy. I've been able to use 6-star Marius in so many different places. I've made a brand new concept of an ice golem team as well, which I really recommend you guys checking out. But yeah, those were some of the compilation videos that I found from this month. It's only 5. I'm happy to do more next time as well. Your help will be appreciated in these clips as well. As I said earlier, my Discord is going to be linked in the description. Please join and help me find more of these clips for February 2025. So with that said, that's the monthly roundup of what happened in January 2025 when it comes to Raid Shadow Legends. I hope you enjoyed this monthly overview. This is the first one. I'm happy to continue working on the next one as well. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.